Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today we meet in an exceptional video because today I'm going to help you choose your off-road electric scooter. So in this video, we're going to see everything. We're going to look at the minimum power. We're going to see the 5 best choices, according to me, for less than 1,300 euros. I'm going to share with you the pitfalls to avoid, my best advice, my tips, my tricks, my recommendations. I'm really going to try to be as detailed as possible without boring you too much. So don't worry, I've made a selection of 5 electric scooters that you can choose from depending on your budget and needs for going off-road, that is off the roads on trails in the forest, to really have fun for those who are on a small budget. Because if you really want an off-road scooter with huge capabilities, you'll need to aim for a budget of at least 1,500 or even 1,700 euros, in my opinion, to really get, let's say, a fairly high range without being at the very top of the range. But here again, for the small budget, and you'll understand why I say this, I'm going to share with you the list of the 5 best electric scooters on the market that I've personally tried. In this video, I'm going to share with you the scooters. Of course, you will find in the description all the links to order these electric scooters from my partners. These are reliable sites that have been tested and approved by myself. I'm putting the links in the description if you really want to order at the best price, and especially from a reliable site. I really invite you to go through the links that will be in the description, and I will also find you the best promo codes and try to keep them as up to date as possible. So don't hesitate to check the links in the description, and of course the promo codes, hoping that I manage to find a very good promo code for each electric scooter. That being said, I'm going to share my first piece of advice with you, but just before, I invite you to subscribe and to like this video. It's ultra important. It requires a lot of investment from me, quite a bit of money to produce each video. I don't know if you realize the work behind it, but in any case, if you can just like this video and subscribe. And for the bravest, leave a little comment to encourage me or tell me what you think of all this. I'm ultra curious to exchange with you, and of course, subscribe to my Instagram. That being said, we're going to start with the first piece of advice, the first mistake to avoid. If you really want to do electric scooter, off-road scooter riding, all-terrain scooter riding in the forest. First piece of advice, don't buy a single motor scooter. Why do I say not to buy a single motor scooter? It's very simple. The power difference between a single motor scooter and a dual motor scooter is more than double. That is to say, a scooter that has 2 1,000 watt motors will be much more powerful than a scooter with a 2,000 watt motor. It sounds odd when you say it like that, but once you've tried it, you quickly understand what I'm talking about. So for the newcomers to the channel, I forgot to mention, but indeed I should probably clarify. Most of the electric scooters we see on the streets have just one motor, often located in the rear wheel or sometimes in the front wheel. But since you're brutes who aren't here to beat around the bush, you there behind the screen, they make you a dual motor scooter. So a motor in the front and a motor in the back, each with a controller and a battery that will power the rear motor and the front motor for increased power. And that's super interesting. It allows you to be much more powerful, to have better grip. In fact, it's like a 4-wheel drive, you see, when all 4 wheels are pushing and have climbed. If your rear wheels are slipping, the front wheels can help get over the obstacle. That's exactly what we're looking for when we go for rides in the forest, when we go off-road. When you're on an incline like that and your front wheel starts to slip, you need power from the rear wheel to climb that obstacle. And that's why it's essential to have a dual motor scooter. And beyond that, I don't know of any single motor scooter that's powerful enough to go into the forest. Second tip for choosing a good off-road electric scooter: get an electric scooter with a battery that has at least 52 volts. Why? Simply because if you have a 36 volt or 48 volt battery, the power just won't be there. You could have motors that can go up to 10,000 watts, but if you have a small 36 volt battery, you're never going to reach 10,000 watts. It's impossible. So ideally, we would want 144 volt batteries. 84 volts, 72 volts, whatever you want. In real world conditions, let's say in the concrete world, you have 48 volts in dual motor sometimes, which I don't really recommend. In my top 5 that I'm going to share with you later, there are only 52 and 60 volts, and that's why I advise them, because 48 volts is clearly not enough. So for people who weigh between 50 and 100 kilograms, I know the range is quite wide, but I advise you to start with at least 52 volts, or for those a bit larger, a bit stronger, to go for 60 volts if you're really massive. From 100 kilograms, it's 60 volts, non-negotiable, and from 120 kilograms, it's almost 72 volts needed to go off-road with an all-terrain scooter. It's a rough estimate, but it gives you at least a little idea. If you weigh 120 kilograms and you imagine going into a forest with a 48 volt scooter, it's really not going to go well. So definitely don't buy a 48 volt. If you weigh more than 100 kilograms, it's not going to go well. Really clearly, you're going to really regret your purchase. And third advice for buying a good off-road electric scooter, it's basic, but you still have to pay attention to it. Get an electric scooter with good suspensions. Don't buy a Dualtron. Basically, we're really going to talk ballpark here, but don't go buying a Dualtron for off-roading. It would be a huge mistake, truly an absurdity. So forget about the Dualtron. You should rather look into other models, which I'll share with you later in this video, that are much more efficient, much more comfortable, much more financially accessible, and have an equal, if not superior, water resistance. So why bother buying a Dualtron for off-road? For me, that's a huge mistake. Well, those are the basic tips. It's really basic. It's the suspensions, it's the battery, it's the power, it's the dual motor. That's something that's essential. Everyone who tells me I do off-road with a 36-volt single motor. Yes, okay, you're doing flat, you're doing off-road. So you're doing all-terrain, right? There's a smooth path with dry, not soft soil, and you ride on it, okay? It's off-road. It's all-terrain, right? You ride on a path in a park, but if you want to do off-road, climb like that, ride at 45 kilometers per hour in the forest with leaves, etc., on a really rough terrain, then you're going to need a real scooter that I'll introduce to you later in this video. That being said, let's start with my top 5 best electric scooters with a budget of up to 1,300 euros. We'll start at 700 euros. So really, for the small budget, there's something to do, but below 650 to 700 euros, personally, I think it's not worth buying an off-road scooter because, in fact, it won't be off-road at all since it will be single motor and not performant, not powerful enough. It won't be suitable for all-terrain driving, so I advise you to save up to at least, 700 euros. And if you want to treat yourself with more quality, don't worry. I've got stuff for you and you're really going to like it. If you want another buying guide, another advice video, let me know in the comments and I'll make it to order. It's a gift. So leave me a little comment, add me on Instagram and like this video if you haven't already. By the way, I forgot to tell you, but as you might have seen, I bought a lift. So that's it, it's done. I got rid of the box after damaging it with all the electric scooters I was receiving. I thought we'd invest in something a bit more serious, so it looks very good. Look, I can go up very easily, then you can go down more or less quickly. Well, that's pretty good, so honestly, I'm quite happy with my purchase. The first electric scooter I would recommend if you want to start off-roading with the smallest budget possible. It's not necessarily the best choice for off-roading, but it's, let's say, the choice that is correct and which is the most financially accessible, and it's simply the choice of the Hollow Knight T104. In terms of performance, we have a top speed of 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. We're of course on a dual motor 52 volts 21 ampere hour with 2 motors that each develop 1000 watts of power. We have a mass of 30 kilograms, so it's a bit heavy, but it remains easily portable, and it has an ingress protection rating of IPX4. IPX4 means it's somewhat water resistant, but don't push it too far either. Then you'll have to do your own tests and not go too hard. Anyway, all the scooters that I'm sharing with you today are IPX4 or IP54, which means that concretely they resist a little bit to water, but you shouldn't go too far in teasing them. You shouldn't completely submerge them in water, obviously. And on this electric scooter, we have mechanical disc brakes. So overall, this scooter is the first twin motor one I've tried. I still feel warm at heart just thinking about it. It's a magical scooter ride. When you ride it for the first time, it's just fabulous, especially if you've never driven a dual motor before. It's incredible with off-road tires. It's really made for enjoying off-road. Personally, it was really my transition from single to dual motor. So it's a scooter that I can really recommend for those who have the smallest budget possible, who absolutely do not want to spend more. It will do the job. It's dual motor, but it still has some flaws. Notably mechanical disc brakes that loosen a bit over time and brake a bit less well. That's a small flaw. Still, it needs to be highlighted. There's potentially some play in the handlebar that can develop. So you can always tighten from the bottom. I think you know that, but when you tighten too much from the bottom, the scooter is no longer foldable. So there are some small compromises to be made. The scooter isn't perfect. It does have some minor flaws. But it's a scooter with which you can truly go off-road if you weigh between 50 and 70, 80 kilograms. Personally, I weigh 80 kilograms. And I still had an extremely good time with it in the forest. I'll put some videos in the description at the top right and on my YouTube channel. If you want to see all the videos I made with the T104, I made an off-road video, I made a street video, I got hit in the face by a tree trunk. In short, I really tested this electric scooter and I have very good memories of it, but it remains the least good electric scooter in this top due to some flaws that I mentioned earlier. The second electric scooter that I recommend if you want to start doing off-road with a real electric scooter that is made for it, it's going to be the new one from Kukirin, which is none other than the Kukirin G2 Master. In terms of performance, we are looking at the maximum speed of 60 kilometers per hour, a 52 volt 20 ampere hour battery, 2 motors each developing 1000 watts, a weight of 33 kilograms. So once again, for the dual motor, it remains relatively light, even very light, an IPX4 waterproof standard. And disc brakes that are also mechanical, so here we're looking at a slightly higher budget than the Halo Night T104. Prices fluctuate a lot, promo codes vary. I'll definitely put the links in the description. Don't hesitate to click on the link to check the current price, but roughly speaking, it's a bit more expensive than the T104. However, mamma mia, it's fabulous. It's way better. Everything is better than on the T104. Absolutely everything, really everything. Like really, if you're hesitating and you're ready to put down an extra 100 euros, 50 euros more, depending on the prices, go for the Kukirin G2 Master. It's not a 10 out of 10, but it's a freaking madness. I really love this scooter. It's really financially accessible again. It's still a pretty penny. It's still expensive, but the build quality is insane. The power is really very good. We're talking about a 52 volts. 2 motors, not 4, 2 motors, 2000 watts. It's really powerful. It's really thrilling, sturdy, mechanical. Disc brake, yes, so that could be a flaw, but it brakes extremely well for mechanical. Honestly, it feels like it's hydraulic. In fact, in my test video, I said they were hydraulic brakes. I was totally fooled. It brakes so well. I thought it was hydraulic, but no, it's mechanical disc brake. So that's a scooter that's really, really, really cool. A bit more expensive than the T104. Once again, but this one I can highly recommend it to you. If you have a bit more of a budget, go for it. Really, it's an insane scooter. It's light, that's really its main advantage. It can be limited to 25 kilometers per hour. So that depends on the country you live in. But it can be a really interesting advantage. And for me, it's clearly a successful scooter. Again, not 100%. But clearly, we're looking at a very, very, very nice model here. Now, we have its big sister, the G3 Pro, but I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Then at number 3, we of course have the legendary Hawk. So in terms of budget, it's a bit more expensive. We're exceeding the 1,000 euros mark to be in the 1,100 to 1,200 euros range approximately. In terms of performance, we're stepping up a notch here. We have a maximum speed of 70 kilometers per hour, a 60 volt battery. We're moving up a level here with its 60 volts, 20.5 ampere hours of battery. 2 motors of 1,200 watts. So here we're stepping it up a notch, which is really cool. We've got off-road tires, all-terrain for a good grip. Really dig into the earth right there. When you take a climb like that, when you make a jump, don't worry, you'll hook into the ground with the tires. It's really aggressive. It's awesome. We have a weight of 77 pounds, so here we're gaining a few more pounds compared to the Kukirin G2 Master. We have a water resistance rating of IP54. But we're moving on to 10 hydraulic brakes. So you see, the higher we go in range, the more we increase in weight, the more we increase in performance, the more we increase in enjoyment. Roughly speaking, because when it becomes too heavy, I find it immediately less fun. But hey, that's just my humble opinion, my personal preferences. With the Hawk, we're clearly stepping up in quality. Here we're no longer dealing with the T104 from Halo Night, with the Kukirin G2 Master and the Hawk. Here we're stepping up in quality, so it's really 10 times nicer to drive, 10 times more solid, 10 times more robust, 10 times more quality, so it's going to last you a lot longer. It's going to be less of a headache, less repair, more solidity, more confidence, so that's really excellent. And actually, I'm going to add a small flaw that I forgot to tell you about the Halo Night T104, is that it doesn't have a footrest. For doing off-road, I must tell you, it's a bit annoying, really. But don't worry, all the other scooters that I present to you in this top have a footrest. At number 4, we find the legendary Kukirin G3 Pro. So she's still here. She's the only powerful electric scooter I have at home. I got rid of all the others to make some space. This one I kept because I have a special relationship with her. She's just sublime. She's just super well finished. She's beautiful. She's powerful while still being portable, even though she's quite heavy. 39 kilograms, so it's not exactly for the faint-hearted, let's say. But honestly, it's completely insane. This scooter is completely insane. I'm not going to beat around the bush. If you're selling electric scooters, if you're in the process of designing new models, if you're brainstorming, etc., and you want to win my heart, do the same thing as this. Just copy it, you copy paste it, you put in a battery at 72 volts, at 84 volts, you add a steering damper, maybe integrate it inside, I don't know. You figure it out, you give me a waterproof standard. IP state. The thing is, I can ride it in my pool, I can ride it in the sea, no problem at all. Give me a magic remote plus an app that can limit and delimit the speed down to the kilometer per hour. Actually, a crazy app, an app where you can set up programs in advance and stuff. So the program is kind of like, you see, like you turn off the scooter, you turn it back on, stuff happens. You press a button twice, stuff happens. I want an app that's programmable. Make me that scooter. As I told you, 72 volts, maximum speed, 110 kilometers per hour, unrestricted. Factory restricted to 25 kilometers per hour with a little magic remote, an insane app, a waterproof rating of IP68. I'll buy it no matter the price, I'll find a way to purchase it. Because in my opinion, it would be the perfect electric scooter. But perfect, like perfect, really, you know, like my dream. And it really is my dream. So clearly the day we manage to release an electric scooter like that, it would truly be a magnificent day for me. It would be a day, yeah, it would definitely be a fabulous day. Anyway, I'll close the bracket, but it's to tell you that this scooter is completely insane. So now we're going to come back down to earth and talk a bit more concretely. But basically, this scooter is beautiful. We're talking about a 52 volts. So we're far from the 72, 84 volts that I'm dreaming of, but 52 volts isn't ridiculous either. We're looking at a dual motor. 1,200 watts at the front, 1,200 watts at the back, a 52 volt battery, 23.2 ampere hour, an IP 54 waterproof standard, but it's so beautiful, it's so well finished, it's so well thought out that I think the waterproof standard is higher. I think you can really immerse it completely in water. Then I really advise you not to do it, otherwise it's going to fall back on me. But personally, I hose it down, no stress, but really no stress. I haven't yet ridden it in my pool, but I have to try and you'll film it to show you a bit what it's like. This scooter has insane braking. We're talking hydraulic, but I don't even know how to describe the braking feeling, but it's unique. It's unique. It's incredible. If you have the budget, I'm not going to beat around the bush, go for this one. If you have the budget, the maximum 1,200 to 1,300 euros, go for this one. It's completely insane. Really, it's totally crazy. I'll still let you discover the next scooters that I'm going to present to you. Maybe they will interest you for other reasons, but this one, it's clearly in my heart, and I find it simply sublime. Of course, all these scooters, I've tested them on my YouTube channel. Obviously, I'll put the links in the description, and you can find all my tests on the YouTube channel if you really want to get to know each one perfectly. And that's what I advise you to do before making a purchase. But really, I'm a very, very big fan of this electric scooter. And we end with the last electric scooter of this top, which is a bit special, but I wanted to include it in the top. You'll understand why. I really wanted to think of everyone. And in fact, I thought that the 52 volts and the 60 volts that I presented to you today. So for a quick recap, I've introduced you to the T104. The G2 Master, the Yumi Hawk. The Yumi Hawk, we're talking about 60 volts, so it's kind of beefier, but it's not ultra powerful either. It's a 60 volts, but it's not a 60 volts like a T108 Pro or an Angwatt T1 either. It's a small 60 volts in terms of power, so to speak. I also talked about the G3 Pro, but I wanted to think about those who weigh 220 pounds and more. Special shout out to you, the rugby players, the bodybuilders, or simply those who are overweight. I thought about you, and I do not recommend these scooters to you because I think you can ride with it when you weigh 220 pounds. Very concretely, I've done a lot of rides with this electric scooter with a total mass on the scooter of more than 264 pounds. We must be around 287 pounds roughly, and with 287 pounds, I'm ultra dynamic really. Don't worry, I'm super dynamic up to 287 pounds on this electric scooter. But I don't do off-road with 287 pounds. There, I've done flat terrain, I do city riding, I've done small climbs. There, we have fun, I even do good climbs, but good climbs in the city. Climbs like that off-road with dirt, wet ground, leaves and a weight of 130 to 140 kilograms is not going to work. It's really not going to work. Honestly, I think that with the scooters I've presented to you at the beginning of this video, you can do off-road up to about 110 kilograms, roughly. But I still wanted to be generous and think that if someone weighs between 110 and 130, 140 kilos, it can really do some true off-road, meaning not being limited as soon as you hit the slightest bump. And so I've selected a new electric scooter just for you, which is the Angwatt T1. Now, with the Angwatt T1, we're looking at a budget of about 1,300 euros. Once again, you have the link and the promo codes available in the description of this video. By the way, if you're interested in an electric scooter, you have the links in the description. But be careful that it's available, because sometimes when I talk about electric scooters, it's already happened several times on the YouTube channel. My subscribers know it. I talk about it. Everything sells out, and then you can't buy it for 2 months. So this one is available. I feel like telling you to indulge while it's available, indulge while it's a good price, and don't wait for it to be out of stock before deciding, because then when you have to wait 2 or 3 months to get a T104, to get a T108, to get a T108 Pro, I receive messages every day and the guys are so bummed out, and at the same time, I understand you. When you want to buy your electric scooter, when you've really made your choice, when you're determined, and then you see there's a 2 or 3 months wait, you flip out and it's normal. Let's get back to our famous Angwatt T1. The Angwatt T1, I'm going to be very, very upfront. I'm not going to beat around the bush whether you're playing the flute or the accordion. The Angwatt T1 is more powerful, more efficient, has more autonomy, is heavier, but less quality, less solid. There, I trust it a bit less. In the long run, I prefer to go for a G3 Pro, which is much more solid, an architecture that I like much more, a weight that is much more moderate. The G3 Pro, it's really a machine that was thought out, that was designed in a unique way. It's not someone who arrived in Lego mode. He took an engine, plugged it in, and all. I'm not criticizing, it also makes good scooters, but when everything is thought out, assembled, and truly designed from A to Z, it results in scooters that are obviously much better. It's a bit like the difference between Android phones and iPhones, but in terms of performance, it's more powerful, it's better, it goes faster. We have a maximum speed that fluctuates between 70 and 80 kilometers per hour. If you're really light, you might be able to go up to 85 or even 90 kilometers per hour for the lightest among you. So clearly, it's no joke, it's really very, very high level. It rocks. We're on a 60 volt 35 ampere hour battery, so here much more voltage. much higher capacity. It has two motors that can develop up to 3000 watts of power at maximum. So this is just insane. The Angwat T1 has a mass of 50 kilograms. It's the same, it's excessive, it's huge. It's IPX4, so like all the other scooters, it's somewhat water resistant, but not too much, let's say. And it has hydraulic disc brakes for very high quality braking. I'll put the video up there, but yeah, the braking is still very, very good. I remember the power is excessive the same, but I don't know. I prefer a G3 Pro, honestly. Yeah, less powerful, but at least you're much more comfortable. You have a better driving feel, like really. So personally, I would go straight for the G3 Pro because I weigh 80 kilograms after if you weigh 110, 120 kilograms or a bit more, and you want to do off-road with a budget of at most 1,300 euros, in that case, I would go for the Angwat T1. Oh, but absolutely, I prefer the G3 Pro, I prefer the Kukirin G2 Master, I prefer the Hume Hawk, and these three scooters, they are for me. My personal favorites, but I wanted to think of everyone. I wanted to consider those who really, really have a tight budget by suggesting the Halo Knight T104, who does its job perfectly but still has some flaws, so it's not my favorite. And at the other extreme, for those who want a lot more power, who really want something that blows your mind, especially if you're really hefty, again, beyond 100, 110, 120 kilograms. Well, in this specific case, I would really go for the Angwat T1 for off-roading, to have power, to have thrills, to have fun. That's a bit of a recap of the video. Tell me in the comments what your favorite electric scooter is. Which one are you most interested in? Which one would you like to buy soon? I'm really curious. Put that in the comments of this video. As usual, I'm putting the links to these 5 electric scooters in the description of this video. If you want to support me, feel free to order your electric scooter through the links on my YouTube channel. It supports me, so it's beneficial for everyone. I'll find you a little promo code and it supports me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope it helped you. If that's the case, a little like and a little subscription is really super important. And thank you so much to everyone who will do it. If you want to continue the discussion, leave me a comment, follow me on my Instagram account, join me on my secondary channel, and I'll see you right away in the next video that's going to pop up on screen. And for the others, see you tomorrow. It was RAFTOR, bye.